Hi everyone, today we're talking about Altria stock, which is a stock that recently, probably over the weekend really, I had quite a bit of a deep dive on, and I looked at the price, I looked at the discount, I saw how much yield that Altria stock was at, and I pretty much considered buying the stock. And today I'm going to kind of share what I found out about the company, and then I'm going to talk about if I'm going to buy some shares in the company itself. Now, if you don't know what Altria is the main thing they've always been known for is manufacturing cigarettes, and that's kind of where they've been for quite a long time. But over the last few years, especially in 2018, they've been diversifying their portfolio a lot more, especially with the amount of people that aren't smoking anymore, that they've kind of tried to go into other areas, vaping being one of the big areas that they've gone into, as well as cannabis as well, with a lot of the legalization that's been going on. That's been another sector they've been going into. But overall, for the majority of the years, it has been known for the manufacturing of cigarette brands from previous years. So Altria stock is currently at $43, and previously it was all the way up in highs. I think it was about $70 where it was at, and that was back towards 2017-ish, and it's kind of been up and down, and then recently it's had a big massive decline. Now, when I talk about a decline, I normally say the reason why it's down at these prices, but to be honest with you, there's not really a solid reason why the stock's down completely. It's just been a lot of bits and bats of negative news that's took the company down 5% and so on since then, and that's every kind of like little bit of negative news has eventually brought it down to the price that where it is at now at $43. When we look at the company itself, it is trading at a P of 13, which is a pretty healthy P, the forward P being about 10, and as an industry P as well, this is a low P for the industry, which is pretty good. The dividend is kind of what stands out, and this is kind of, if you're going to go into the stock, this is why you go into the stock, is because of the dividend, and the dividend is a 7.68% yield. As an industry average is a lot lower, so this is quite good for the industry that it's in. And that dividend is something we're going to talk about going forward, because there's a lot of speculation on what's going to happen with this dividend, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the main reason probably why you're looking into this company is because of the dividend that it does play, and it is at a discount of 43% overall, so we'll talk about that as well. Now, I'm going to do some positives, negatives, and then I'll give my overall opinion about the company going forward. So I'm going to start with the negatives, and then I'll go to the positives overall. So one of the negatives that I'm putting this down as a negative, but it's not necessarily negative. A lot of people think that Altria stock is going to merge with Philip Morris, and that's been a lot of speculation from there, and how the company's going to go from there, and also what's going to happen to the dividend. Now, from my kind of research, really, if there was to merge, then the dividend would still be pretty strong going forward. Another thing is the slowing down of the revenue. Now, people think that because of cigarettes being smoking a lot less, that basically the revenue is going to go down. But from my kind of research is that even though people are smoking less, there's still a lot more people still buying a lot of cigarettes, for example, because the population is still rising. And I don't think overall that the cigarette market is going to come to an end, even though it's kind of like, it said how unhealthy it is for you to be smoking. I still think quite a lot of people are going to smoke overall, and it's something that's always going to be there. I think you're always going to have your social smokers as well. I think that the cigarettes are always going to be there going forward. I don't think we'll ever see them kind of not happen. And also we've seen them as well make good investments to deal with this slowing revenue and go into other industries as well, and that's been a good move for the management to deal with that. Another thing is the STC, and they're investigating one of the investments they made, which is the vaping side of it, and saying that they've targeted at teenagers. Now, potentially from my kind of view, I don't think anything will happen with that. But I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I'm not sure what will happen, but I feel like if it was to happen, then it won't be a massive fine, but I think they'll be okay with that. Another thing is that we also, one of the other investment again, which is the vaping side of it, there's potential for vaping to get banned. We've had a lot of studies saying that someone's died now from the actual first death of vaping. But for me, I think that vaping, smoking, cigarettes, I think they all kind of have health concerns with them, but I never think they're going to get actually banned, because I just don't think that there's certainly not for me that there's enough kind of health harms for them to stand out and go, right, vaping is definitely a lot worse and get it banned. I just don't see vaping getting banned overall, even if there's discussions about it. Dividend cut is another risk people talk about, because the dividend is always had a good increase overall, but now the payout rate's getting slightly high, and there's kind of this slight fear that, are they able to carry on increasing the dividend, especially with such a high payout rate? Now, if Altria still hit the targets that they're going to say, and I've also said the last one is profit margins. Profit margins have gone down over the last 2 years. If profit margins stay the same and Altria hit the revenue targets, then they should be okay. They might not raise the dividend as much now going forward, or they might keep it the same. But as long as they keep hitting the revenue targets, that dividend should be okay. So there is a little slight chance of that, and I do openly admit that there is potential for that dividend not to grow as much, even slow down. An actual cut of the dividend, I don't think that is that likely, but it's something to consider when, especially the main thing is the dividend going forward. Now, the positive of the stock is obviously the dividend, what we talked about. The dividend and the discount is attractive, and it does seem like there is upside from here. It feels like the stock is probably a little bit undervalued at these prices. The dividend's obviously great. This is fantastic dividend yield is that. The other thing is the management. The management have seemed to kind of seen how much, the cigarette industry is slowing down, and they have tried to make attempts now to invest in other industries to make up for that. They've gone into the cannabis sector and bought a massive amount in the cannabis sector, and we've also seen them gone into the drink industry now and invest into drink companies as well, which has also been a good investment for them. And they've realized it's good for the management to realize that they need to diversify a little bit more, and going forward they might do that. They've also got options to increase some investments that they do have that is really good. And I've also put down here that one of the big massive investments that everyone talks about with this is that they've invested into Cronos, which is another cannabis manufacturer, and a lot of people actually really do like the company as well. I think it's one of the best investments that they've made. Now, overall with Altria, when I looked at this stock, I think the stock price has some upside. I think it has about 20% upside. I think it's a great dividend, and like I said before, I think the dividend has potential not to go up and stay the same. If it does go up, it probably won't go up 10% that it has been doing previously. But I think for the dividend to get cut, I don't see the dividend getting cut going forward, because I think that they will carry on hitting their revenue targets, because I think all these kind of industries that are in are still industries that whatever's happening in the economy, people are still going to spend the money on them products. So I think that's pretty safe overall. And then it kind of goes to my last opinion. Am I going to buy this stock? Now, it's difficult. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I'll be honest, I've still not actually made my mind up with this stock, because I'm looking right now and going, I like Altria stock, I like the dividend play, I think there's upside on the price target, but realistically, would I rather buy this or would I rather buy Visa and Facebook? And I'm looking at that and I'm thinking I'd rather buy Visa and Facebook and companies like that. But then I look at the other side of it, and I'm comparing it to growth companies, and I shouldn't compare it to growth companies. I should compare it to dividend companies that I own, and dividend companies that I own are Carnival and Walgreens. And I compare Altria to Walgreens, and which company do I actually prefer? It's quite ironic that one's a health company and the other's a cigarette company, but I'm comparing them, which do I think I'm going to get a better return off? And I'm looking at Altria and going, I'm going to probably get a better dividend yield, and I see a little bit more upside on the price target as well. So it's very difficult, because when I do that, I kind of see that maybe I should have this stock, and it's another industry as well that I'm not into that portfolio. And then I'm looking around and I'm like, but at the same time, would I rather go invest that company into more money into a growth company? And I can't really decide, and I've got to kind of, for me personally, I've got to make my mind up whether or not I want to go and buy some more growth stocks, or I want to add another dividend play into my portfolio. And that's where I'm kind of deciding. And to be honest with you, I do really like the company, and my opinion is I think this is a great opportunity to probably buy in this company. I would kind of be thinking right now is that I would kind of be to edge into the company and only buy a few shares, and because there's potential for this company to go down from here. This company is not going to bring any amazing news out that will send the stock up 20%, I feel like. So I think there is more potential for the company to go down from these prices right now. So I'd kind of probably average in quite a bit from here. But the thing is do I take that plunge and go buy the company? And I'm kind of thinking that I probably might. I'm really tempted to go buy a bit of this stock overall. Potentially we'll see what happens. It could be one that comes on my portfolio list at some point. I am definitely tracking it, and like I say, I'm considering buying some because even if this dividend does get affected, I don't see it getting cut, and that's a nice healthy dividend yield as from there. So if I do buy some shares, like I say, I'll probably make a video about the price I get in at, and I'll let you know what price it was. And like I say, there's a chance it might happen. It depends what happens over the coming weeks, because I'd like to add a couple of shares in other positions as well. So like I say, I'll let you know what happens. But yeah, I would rate the stock a buy for sure. So that's me talking about Altria stock today, guys. I hope if you're looking into the stock, it helped you. If it did, if you could give the video a like, that'd be amazing. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next video.